Good Friday night. Hello, hello. Hi. I definitely know I wanted to do something a little bit more low-key, a little more chill this time around. And so I thought, hey, Lily Pals, do y'all remember several months ago when it was October and I played Spooky's Jump Scare Mansion, and then after that I read some stories about a series that's similar in vibes to Creepypasta or SCP. Y'all remember? Y'all remember? I remember. But before we get started, a couple things I wanted to get out of the way real quick. First off, small little bit of bad news. For the foreseeable future, I can't picture myself doing any art streams. Not for a while. As you could probably see from the performance last Monday, it was quite a rough show. My tablet and stylus don't really agree with each other anymore. In the way that I would really rather they did. And it's really sad because I have things I need to draw, but it's too much suffering, it's too much pain, and I'm hoping, I am praying to the froggy goddesses up in the holy pond that if I just get my stylus replaced, and just get a new stylus to be used, everything will turn out okay, and I can get back to drawing back to normal. Because if it is an issue with the tablet, which, it's definitely not a 0% chance, just because I've had it for so long, it wouldn't surprise me if it's starting to bug out a bit. If it turns out that the problem is with the tablet, I'll probably need to get it replaced eventually. But y'all know me, I'm just a frog. I don't have money. I live as simply as I find ideal. So that's a little heads up as far as art streams go. I'm not counting things like with World Building Wednesday. I know, I used MS Paint to help design a map, continental map. I can still do that stuff. Stuff that's really simple and rudimentary, easy enough to do on a mouse. I can just keep using my mouse. But, character art and all that fun stuff, it's gonna have to be put on hold for a while. Well, it makes Foggy sad. I wanna draw. Especially now that I'm getting ideas for stuff that I've been working on, stuff I want to draw. And it's painful that I just have to deal. I have to deal. I have no substitutes. I mean, unless I wanted to try using my mouse, which I did that years ago, don't want to go back to that place. That is a dark place. We don't talk about that place. But speaking of dark places, once again, this stream I'm going to dedicate solely to reading out not SCP articles this time, but rather entries of a creepypasta adjacent series known as The Holders. It's a little more obscure, but I find fascination with it. It's definitely an intriguing concept. For those who are unfamiliar, The Holders is a series about... so basically, there are these objects of power, of great, immense, universal power, that, you know, can change and warp any facet of reality, like, with a whim for those who own them. And there are over 500 of these objects in the world. Each of these objects is being kept by a holder. And these holders present certain trials for people called seekers, who will seek out these treasures, these objects. These trials are often nightmarishly grotesque and macabre and disturbing, you know, and so that I can't really think of a more specific or succinct way to say content warning. Some of these entries are really, really dark. They go into not great places, in an amount of detail that you probably wouldn't prefer. Like, it's just kind of a generalized, you know, disturbing content. That's the most I can promise. You know, obviously, a lot of disturbing content would likely involve, like, scary imagery, intense blood, violence, and gore, as well as some sensitive topics. So, you know, for those who don't really have the stomach for these kinds of things, you, like, feel free to sit this one out. I will not hold it against you whatsoever. Froggy still loves you. And my Lily Pal's comfort is one of my #1 priorities. Okay? Alright. Otherwise, the only other things I have to mention is, I guess specifically, these entries are not specifically stories per se, not in the conventional sense. It's more like a catalog, a guide, a manifesto of, you know, all of the trials of all of the holders and their objects. And part of the draw, I think, part of the draw is that there is no real protagonist, because each of these entries is written in second person. You know, kind of like a choose-your-own-adventure story, but not really. Not in that same format. You know, it's just the protagonist is addressed as you. You know, it's a manual, it's a guide to tell you exactly what to do when you face these trials, if you decide to pursue them. So that's about the most we need to know. I think that's the best recap or summary I can provide at this moment. Last we left off, We didn't get too far at all. Like, there are over 500 of these objects. It's gonna be a while before we ever get to the midway point. I believe we left off on object 30. So, you know, there's gonna be a few that are gonna be skipped for the sake of continuity, sake of consistency. Other than that, Lily Pals, I'm not planning to engage in chat until I'm done reading an entry in full. So, hello wifey. Yeah, so if I seem slow to interact with chat, it's because I'm in the middle of reading, and I will check in after I'm done, if I remember, because sometimes I just forget. I think with all that's said and done, though, get cozy, Lily Pals. As cozy as you can. Have a snack. Have some drinks. Turn down the lights. And we'll ease into the holders. Again, we left off on number 30, the holder of the flame. And we start with 31, the holder of silence. The holder of silence. Do not speak. Do not sigh. Shut down any sound-making device. Smash it if you must. Send away your friends and family. Never see them again. And smother that damn dog. Shoot the neighbors. They want to break it. The silence. Hear it? Pure and golden, all for you. There will be no clamor, no gasping or struggling, so long as you maintain the silence. Walk to the Institute. Make no noise, and let no others blast and blare through your silence. Their fists and guns and bullets must not stop you. They must not break the silence. When you reach the Institute, hand the desk worker a blank piece of paper, and they will understand. You will be taken deep into the Institute. All the while, bask in your silence. Crushing you, maddening you. It wants to destroy you so that you may be part of it. Hear that? The blood rushing through your veins? That must be silent. Tear out the noisy heart, for it has offended and must be cast aside. Continue walking. You must walk and be surrounded by the silence. Bring up walls and cages to defend the silence. Create punishments for those who would break it. When you reach your cell, you may once more speak, but you will not want to. You will simply wish to maintain the silence. Have it surround you, be near you. Hold it for a while, because that silence is object 31 of 538. It must not be broken. Very, very excited Sunshine gives her love from a pile of plushies. Be sure to kiss them for me. The holder of speed. In any city, in any country, go to any mental institution or halfway house you can get yourself into. When you reach the front desk, ask for something called the holder of speed. The worker should become motionless. Look around yourself. If everything else became motionless, you are on the right path. If you are not, no one shall know of your demise. This will make it all the worse. You will notice that moving around and breathing will become gradually but increasingly difficult. This is expected, for the air slowly becomes motionless. You should explore carefully the halls surrounding you, thinking about your first great failure. But be aware that if you take too long, you will suffocate. Your objective is to find a child who still moves amidst all the surrounding statuesque shapes. The child will approach you with a ball, handed over to you. Pay attention to how the ball is held. The child will then declare, "You're it," and then run outside the room, always giggling. What you will have to do is return the ball. Careful to not be fooled by the voice echoing within the halls, for wasted time means you're closer to death by asphyxiation. As time passes, the air will become harder to cut through, requiring greater strength. Warmth will slowly leave your body. Droplets of water will pierce your skin. Most likely, you'll be blinded, deafened, and similarly mutilated during this chase. Vision will be as impaired as everything slowly darkens, as even light itself is eventually reaching a stop. It is certain that you will find the child in one of the hallways under a beam of light. It could be coming from a window, a lamp, or any similar light source. You should return the ball in the same way it was given to you and attempt to escape, giving continuity to the game. If you succeeded, the air won't be heavy anymore. You will notice every place you ran past will be damaged to some degree. Depending on where you finished your ordeal, you may have to give many explanations to the facility's administration and somehow avoid imprisonment. If you failed, the child will once again hand you the ball as soon as you're reached. He will then again declare, "You're it," and dash through the corridors. You will probably die, pierced by the air's humidity and suffocated before you can reach the infant a second time. Your newfound agility is object 32 of 538. Mentioning the child to others will earn you, at first, scorn and ridicule. To mention him a second time is to invite your demise at the hands of everyone in earshot, if you're lucky. The holder of wind. In any city, in any country, go to any mental institution or halfway house you can get yourself into. When you reach the front desk, ask to visit someone who calls himself the holder of wind. The receptionist will then walk off, as if you weren't even there. Follow the receptionist. After 5 minutes of what seems like aimless walking, the receptionist will begin to whistle. If it is a tune you recognize, then continue to follow. If you do not recognize the song, try to remember the better times of your life, as from there on out, you will know nothing but the endless pain of your own personal hell. If you find yourself humming along to the tune, the receptionist will turn to you and point you to a room on your left. Enter the room. Inside is a wide prairie filled with endless knee-high grass. The first thing you will notice is a warm, gentle breeze playing over your face. In the distance, you'll hear a faint whispering sound. If you do not hear the whisper, run out the door and close it behind you, or the peaceful prairie will become your final resting place. If the whisper persists, close the door and it will disappear. Follow the whisper as best you can. After a few steps, a young man will rise out of the grass and, clothed in simple farm clothes, just a moment, y'all. Sorry about the brief interruption. Hello, RNGesus. Yeah, no, I had a brief interruption reading some spooky holder stories. Okay. After a few steps, a young man will rise out of the grass, clothed in simple farm clothes. This man knows only the answer to one question. What carried them away? The man will tell you a lazy tale, a story filled with illusion and deception, dulled by his accent. You will start to become tired and may want to lie down and sleep for a while in the comfy grass. But do not, for if you do, you will never awaken from your slumber. Once the man is done rambling, he will ask you a question. Do you really want it? The laziness induced by the scenery will make you want to say no, but resist, and take the wind chimes he offers you. The door you came in will then appear in front of you, allowing you to leave in peace. These chimes are object 33 of 538. When the wind causes these chimes to sound, another object is near, as is the end of all hope. Once again, I'll remind y'all I will not directly interact with chat until I'm finished with a particular entry. But feel free to comment in the meantime. I'll get to it. The Holder of Oblivion. In any city, in any country, go to any mental institution or halfway house you can get yourself into. When you reach the front desk, ask to visit someone who calls himself the Holder of Oblivion. If the attendant stares at you and swallows audibly, follow him to a room deep within the building, far deeper than you thought possible. The attendant will open the door and give you a fearful look. If you are brave, enter the room. If you are craven, flee now. Inside the room, there is only a chair. Sit down in it. If at any time you begin to feel fear, get up and leave. You are still free to escape. If you choose to stay, you must sit and wait until the lights in the room flicker. Do not stand. Do not get up. If you are not sitting down when the lights flicker, then you will plummet into the void between worlds, a meal for its grotesque denizens. When the lights flicker, you must shut your eyes immediately. Gazing upon the void will destroy your mind. Only when you hear a man clear his throat may you open your eyes. You will be in a dark dungeon, bound to the chair by a web of ebony chains. Surrounding you will be heads impaled upon blood-soaked pikes, and standing before you will be a man wearing an executioner's uniform. Stare him in the eyes. Do not move your gaze, and do not show even the slightest tinge of fear. For if you do, he will add your head to his collection. The only thing you may speak without being beheaded is the question, what will they bring? The executioner will laugh an inhuman laugh, and then the impaled heads will begin to speak. They will speak of horrors, of executions, of their individual ends, but you must not move your gaze from the executioner, or you too will be speaking of your death. Eventually, he will speak of his own end and what they brought to him. When he finishes, he will remove his cowl, revealing a skeleton's face. With a cackle, he will wave his hands, and the world will plunge into darkness. When the light returns, you will be sitting peacefully in the lobby of the institution. In your lap will be the executioner's cowl. That cowl is object 34 of 538. You have seen what they bring. Will you stop them? The holder of fear. In any city, in any country, go to any mental institution or halfway house that you can get yourself into. When you reach the front desk, ask to visit someone who calls himself the holder of fear. If the time is right, the attendant will lead you to a closet with no floor. With a malicious grin, the worker will shove you into the hole and close the door. As you fall through the abyss, you cannot feel any fear. If you do, you will immediately hit the spike-ridden bottom of the pit and meet a gruesome death. If you remain resolute, your fall will eventually slow and stop, leaving you in a room soaked in darkness. Into the darkness, you must speak only one thing. What is their weapon? Immediately, the room will be illuminated. Surrounding you will be everything that you fear, and in the center will be a creature who will take the appearance of your greatest fear. Not even once can you flinch or shrink away from this creature, or it will dismember you in the most painful way possible. You must stare at your greatest fear while it tells you its story in excruciating detail. It will tell you of all the fears in the world, from the tiniest to the greatest, in all of their horribleness. When it is finished, the creature will ask what you fear. Now you must confess all of your fears to the creature without looking around the room. If you miss even one, you will be consumed by your own terror, leaving nothing but a shell remaining. If you confess all of your fears, the creature will scream, and the scream will send you hurtling through the wall behind you. When you stop moving, you will be across from the closet you entered earlier, and in the closet will be a mirror. That mirror is object 35 of 538. It reflects your greatest fear, and that is their weapon. The holder of faith. In any city, in any country, go to any mental institution or religious institution you can get yourself into. When you reach the front desk, close your eyes and ask to visit someone who calls himself the holder of faith. The worker will look at you in abstract confusion, shake his head, and go back to his work. If you wait for 3 full minutes, he will sigh and walk you to a custodian's closet. He will lead you inside and lock you there. The door will not open, and it will be pitch black. Slowly the darkness will begin to describe, in the brightest of white words, in a language you have never read and voices you have never heard, speaking the foulest blasphemies your body can withstand. Should the soliloquy ever stop, fall to your knees and clasp your hands, screaming every prayer you know. If the writing does not continue, curse the God that has put you into existence. If the writing does continue, stand quickly and race down the tunnel. There the tunnel will open into a large dome, and you will see a young girl in white, staring at you with her hair fallen down into her face. Do not look at your hands, or they will peel the flesh from your bones. She will respond to only one question. Why do they fear? She will look up to you, and her mouth will blurt out every wrong that has ever occurred in the name of a god, and some that you must believe happened beyond your reality. She will then fall to the ground, screaming in horrible agony as she is consumed by a white flame. That ash is object 36 of 538. It will one day be mixed with yours. The holder of confusion. In any city, in any country, go to any mental institution or halfway house you can get yourself into. When you reach the front desk, ask to visit someone who calls himself the holder of confusion. The worker will initially ignore you, but if you wait for 1 full minute, she will rise and motion for you to follow her. After following her down a series of dimly lit hallways, you will come to a dead-end corridor with no doorways. The worker will motion to the end of the hallway and promptly leave you without a word. You must walk to the end of the hallway without speaking a word. Once you reach the end, place your hands upon the wall to reveal that it is an illusion which you may walk through. If you are scared, or unsure of what is behind the wall when you step through, or have any doubts at all, you will simply walk off of the plane of existence forever, never to be heard from again. But if you believe in yourself, and believe answers lie beyond the wall, when you step through, you will appear in a bright white room with many paths. Some lead into the distance, others appear to lead nowhere at all, yet others appear to defy understanding and lead to suffering that only the most damnable of all souls can comprehend. The path you seek is the one that lies ahead of you. It appears to continue on for eternity. While walking, you must say nothing, no matter how long the trip appears to take, and should the room begin to darken halfway through your trip down the path, your only option is to sit down and weep silently, for you are now nothing more than nourishment for the most grotesque and cursed demon of them all. However, if the room remains an almost unfathomably perfect white, your trip down the path will be without peril, and you will safely come to a door. At this point, you need do nothing, as the door opens to you to reveal a room which appears an impossibility. It is not big, but not small, not lit, but not dark. It appears to be everything and nothing. Equals and opposites are meaningless in this room. It is said that those who enter are driven to a maddening insanity and begin to claw their own flesh off, or disembowel themselves with their bare hands, all while laughing manically. Never dying, this will be their fate for eternity. Should you manage to not be driven to insanity, you will notice a nondescript figure standing in the center of the madness. It appears to be human, yet at the same time, something much more hellish. You will not be able to comprehend this entity visually, but you must not repulse at its sight, nor can you say anything to it. It will begin to speak to you many events, some of which you know are true, others you know are lies, some of which you are unsure of. The entity will become increasingly agitated that you are ignoring its nonsense. You must refrain from saying anything at all until the entity falls silent briefly, and then asks, "What would you do if they were all brought together?" To this, you must very firmly reply, "Everything that you would do, including what you wouldn't." The entity will stare at you blankly for a moment. If it doesn't believe you, it will simply walk away and leave you there, forever in darkness. If it does believe you, however, it will reach its hand out and give you a small, seemingly immaterial glowing object. This is the beast's resolve. That is object 37 of 538. No matter how indecisive you are, no matter how unsure the world becomes, you alone must know what to do if they all come together. The holder of accuracy in any city, in any country. Go to any mental institution or halfway house you can get yourself into. When you reach the receptionist's desk, ask to visit someone who calls themselves the holder of accuracy. Should a look of terror and sorrow fall over the receptionist's face, they have found you, and no amount of running will save you. However, if their face shows an expression of excitement and disbelief, you've come to the right place. They will take you to the nearest door and open it for you. You must walk through the doorway exactly 3 seconds after they open it. No more, no less. After walking through, the receptionist will close and lock the door behind you. You will find that you are now standing in a firing range, with spots taken on either side of you as far as you can see. The people who take these spots are seekers that have failed. They are doomed to an eternity of thoughtless enslavement, unable to summon enough free will to end their own lives with the weapons so tantalizingly close at hand. Take the one open spot that is directly in front of you. You will notice that there is a rifle conveniently placed on a nearby table. As soon as you pick it up, a target will appear at the end of the firing range. You will have 5 rounds, and you must hit the center of the target with each of them. If you miss the first shot, the seeker to your left will put your gun to your head and pull the trigger. If you hit the first time, but then miss another shot, you will join the seekers that have failed in their mindless stupor. If you manage to hit the bullseye all 5 times, however, the firing range will disappear, and you will find yourself in an empty black void, standing before a man dressed in a black trench coat and a dark brown fedora, but you will not be able to see his face. This is the holder. If he is smoking a cigar, then he does not find you worthy of continuing your journey, and will shove you into the void to fall for eternity. If he is smoking a cigarette, then he believes you are capable of progress. He will beckon for you to speak. You must ask him, how many people tried to stop them? He will then tell you in great detail how many people tried to stop the objects from being lost, how many rounds were fired, how many battles were fought, how many wars were started, amongst other things. Don't worry, few have gone insane from this information. The man will then hand you the rifle you used in the firing range. Any round that you load into this rifle will never spread and will always shoot where you aim. The man will give you a respectful nod and walk into the void. You will feel a strong gust of air, and then you will find yourself standing in front of the place you call home. That rifle is Object 38 of 538. How many shots will it take to stop them? The holder of absence. In any city, in any country, go to any mental institution or halfway house you can get yourself into. When you reach the front desk, ask to visit someone who calls himself the holder of absence. Should the person at the front desk try to convince you that the person you wish to visit is no longer there, ask to visit their cell nonetheless. At this point, the receptionist shall show a look that can only be defined as emotionless. The receptionist will lead you down a long wall with many doors on either side until you reach an iron door with one barred window on it. They will open the door for you, but lead you no further. Beyond the door is darkness, nothing more. As you step into the darkness, the door will slam shut behind you. You are now trapped, and the only way to go is forward. You will not be able to see the ground, the roof, or the walls. Be aware, you may be walking for a very long time, possibly days. As you walk, you will begin to feel cold and empty inside. You will feel as if your soul has left your body as a shell. In time, you may hear footsteps that echo loudly. Stop immediately and wait. If the footsteps do not stop, you must sit down and wait until they do. If they begin to grow even louder, then you will surely perish by an unimaginable horror. If the footsteps do stop, you must press forward until you reach another iron door, illuminated by a light behind it. Open it and step inside. Inside will be a pitch-black room. Only a small circle of light upon the floor can be seen, lit by a small candle. Behind the light will be a chair with a coat on it. Approach the chair, but do not sit in it, no matter how long you have been walking. Wait until the candle burns out. When it does, reach out and take the coat. The next time you blink, you will find yourself in the front of the desk of the mental institution or halfway house. Reach into the right inside breast pocket of the coat and pull out a singed sheet of paper with red ink. Do not read this ink, or the holder of absence will become present and destroy you with unthinkable pain and anguish. This paper is Object 39 of 538. Keep him absent. Keep them from coming all together. The holder of the abandoned. In any city, in any country, go to any orphanage or halfway house you can get yourself into. When you reach the front desk, ask to visit someone who calls himself the holder of the abandoned. The attendant will look up at you with lonely eyes and lamely motion for you to follow her. She will lead you through a maze of corridors. Do not look back, and keep on her heels, or you will be forever lost in this maze. She will show you a door, crumbling with age. She will then suddenly vanish, abandoning you to your fate. Push forward, or be lost forever. After you open the door, you'll be confronted with a hedge maze of slowly dying bushes. Follow your gut as you navigate, or risk losing yourself to an eternity of wandering. Listen carefully. Every step you make will ring loudly through the still air. Should the sound stop, stand still and don't dare to move. If you hear a buzzing sound, shout out, "Go back! I do not need your help!" If the buzzing persists, then run. Run for your life. Your body, your mind, your very soul will be in great danger. Do not stop, no matter what you may hear or see. Should they catch you, you will be gnawed eternally by the sharp fangs of every problem that has ever plagued mankind. If you escape, then you may consider yourself blessed with luck few have had before. Eventually, you'll make it to the end. Before you will stand a golden gate. Knock once, and it will swing open for you. Slowly enter the courtyard. Inside, you will find a beautiful man in his late 40s wandering around aimlessly. Ask him this and nothing else. Where were they abandoned? If this man attacks you, then consider yourself lucky. You will never see the end of this. If not, then he will show you. He will show you every hidden crevice, every basement lair, every corpse, every madman, every evil place that these things have tainted. You will probably go insane. If not, then you are truly destined to see this task to the end. The man will have left you by the end of this slideshow. In his place, you will find a map and a broken watch. The watch shows how much time you have left in this race. You may not keep it, and you will not remember the time that it shows. That map is object 40 of 538. Use it or not, but the knowledge has escaped, and you're not the only one that holds it. Quick drink. The holder of solitude. In any city, in any country, go to any mental institution or halfway house you can get yourself into. As you approach the front desk, keep your gaze on the floor. Should your gaze wander, then you have already failed. At the desk, do not move or shift your gaze until the worker makes a sound recognizing your existence. Without upturning your eyes, ask her for the being known as the holder of solitude. As these words leave your lips, a great gong will ring, shaking the very ground you stand on. Once the ring of the gong turns to silence, you can finally observe your surroundings. You will find yourself under a strange sky in a vast and morbid wasteland, only a cold stone path leading towards the horizon. The instant you become aware of this lifeless wasteland, you must start moving, for they know you are there, and they do not take well to outsiders. Should clouds gather in the sky and darkness encroach on the path during your crossing towards the horizon, shut your eyes and kneel. No mortal has ever let his stare rest upon this world's inhabitants. As you kneel, you must plead. I do not know you, nor have I any wish to, but my path is here, and I must follow it. After you have uttered these words, await their judgment. Should they choose to allow your presence, you will feel them retreating. Should they decide otherwise, then this was not your fate. Hope that they end your existence quickly. At the end of your path awaits an obsidian pillar. Perched atop it is an obsidian gargoyle, regarding your approach. The gargoyle will only stir to the sound of one question: who shall perish? Once these words are spoken, the gargoyle will descend upon you, and his wings will envelop you in darkness. There he will show you the lives of all human beings as stars in the darkness. And as stars, you'll watch them flicker and die. For eons, you shall watch the deaths of those who came before you and those yet to come, and you shall experience their loneliness as you watch them die, sensing how utterly separated they were from each other. This shall continue until your sanity shatters, or until only one light remains. And so the gargoyle shall speak. Your end is not mine to reveal to you, and it is not what you seek. These words will echo inside your head until the day the task is completed. Once again, you must shut your eyes, lest you keep your gaze on the last remaining light, and the gargoyle will devour you. As you shut your eyes, you will feel as though you are being hurled through the dimensions, spinning endlessly until solid ground is only a vague memory. At that moment, you will be thrown to a stone floor, and it will be as being born again, as returning into the light after eternities in darkness. And once you open your eyes, you look around at a gargantuan, withering ballroom, the cracked marble floor covered with dead leaves. At the far end of the room, you will see a light calling you. As you advance towards it, you will be able to make out something hung upon the wall. A dark kite, or dark kite shield, decorated with macabre symbols, the symbols seemingly alive and pulsating. You need only to take it off the wall to claim it. The moment the shield leaves the wall, you will be back at the front desk, where the worker is staring at you intently. She knows what you have started, and she hates you for it. The shield you hold in your hands is Object 41 of 538. Pray that it can protect you from what is to come. The holder of the star. In any city, in any country, go to any mental institution or hospital and ask at the main desk for the one who refers to himself as the holder of the star. The worker will stare into your eyes with a smug look of contempt for several seconds. If he does not see your heart's resolve in your eyes, he will laugh arrogantly. If he does, flee, or guards shall take hold of you and lock you in a cramped cell, where you will hear the man's laughter in waking and sleeping as long as you live. If he sees the determination in your eyes, he shall stand and guide you down a hallway. He will stop at a cell door and will hand you the key, saying nothing and walking away. With key in hand, grab the handle and turn it slowly. It is not locked. Instead of a cell behind the door, there is a hall, dimly lit. Enter the corridor, then close and lock the door behind you. As you walk down this hallway, you will hear the laughter of children playing mixed with the heartwarming chants of foreign monks. Quickly, the laughter will turn to screams, and the chants to curses. As long as you hear these terrible noises, you are safe. But if your courage sways, and the slightest fear overcomes you in this corridor, the sounds shall stop. And if this happens, shut your eyes and pray that what hideous creature that just awakened will take your life in its first bite. If you survive this corridor, you shall reach a small locked door. The lights will dim around you until all you can see is the door. When all is dark, use the key you were given and unlock the door. Enter through the door with a small, pitch-black cell. In the cell, there is a hooded man in red robes. He holds a candle and keeps his eyes closed while chanting. He sits in the middle of a pentacle drawn in glowing red blood. The stench it produces will cause you to gag, but do not do any more than that. Before the man is a smoldering rock. Do not stare at the stone directly for too long, or the burning from the rock shall envelop your mind and send your body into a fiery eternity. Instead, stare at the candle and listen to the old man. He responds to only one question. What must be done to complete their task? The man shall stop chanting and will tell you 5 names and 5 questions. He shall inform you that you must learn on your own which matches the other. He shall then dab his forefinger in the blood of the pentacle and will draw on the wall a formula. A key plus a book plus a quill plus a word scrawled in a way that it is illegible yields an open book with 3 ovals drawn around it. He shall chuckle warmly and return to his seating place. He will hand you the still burning stone, and from behind his robe he shall pull out a still beating heart. With all your might, crush the organ until it no longer quivers. Inside the meaty mush, you will find an antique fountain pen. When you look back up, you will find the old man dead, with a look of serene content upon his face. Pay this man the final honor of closing his eternally glassy eyes and leave the room. He was the holder, and his looks deceive. If you are to touch him again, you will become one of the cursing monks for eternity. The darkness will sweep over you, and when it lifts, you will find yourself outside of the hospital. You will find the pen to never require refilling of its red ink. Though the ink never stinks of it, you will realize that it is your blood that drains through the pen onto paper. Should you ever allow this object to be destroyed, a horrific, slow death will befall you. As long as you hold this item, you will hear whispering chants in the back of your mind until you die or do their bidding. This pen is object 42 of 538. It wills you to write in the cursed tome with your own blood. To do this is folly. It is your choice to continue their work or to destroy the chance of the objects coming back together ever again. The holder of the earth. In any city, in any country, go to any mental institution or halfway house you can get yourself into. When you reach the front desk, ask to visit someone who calls himself the holder of earth. The worker will laugh loudly, drawing the attention of only one other patron. The worker will remain seated, but the person whose attention he drew will call you over. Do not ask him anything, as he leads you to a disused broom closet deep in the asylum. He will open the door for you and wait for you to enter first. Do not do this. or the stairway inside the door will disappear, and you will plummet endlessly through the ice-cold black. Instead, tell him, "I would not dare see these sights before you." If he believes you, he will nod slightly and enter, and you should follow him. If he does not, be thankful that you are deep enough into the asylum that no one can hear your screams. As you descend the stairway, you will hear beastly yells coming from all sides, but primarily from above you. Keep your eyes trained to the darkness below you, for the man will have vanished into the darkness, though you will be able to feel that you are not alone. You must never look up, or the demons and hellspawn watching you, mocking you, will descend, rending your flesh from your bones, draining your blood, ripping your muscles and sinew in all too long of an instant. As you climb down, you will find the atmosphere becoming more and more tomb-like, and though you will still be able to hear the demons above, it will seem as though there is finally a ceiling overhead. You must still take the utmost caution, never to look up. After an impossibly long amount of time, you will set foot on solid, soft ground again. If the demons from the stairwell have stopped their yelling, you will not live to see the ground. If they have not, you will wish they had. For now is your opportunity to ask the only question to which the darkness will respond. You must ask firmly, how can they be stopped? When you do, ghastly wails will emit from below you, though you will still be able to feel the ground under you. You will be able to sense the gentleman who led you here turn around. His eyes will pierce you, though you will not be able to see them. You must never look down, or otherwise falter your gaze from the darkness immediately in front of you. The wails will continue, wordless at first, but a strong male voice will lead them into speaking in unison. They will tell you of the one thing that can prevent the result of the objects coming together, but it will be interlaced with every last consequence of doing so. They will tell you of the sky raining fire, of rivers running red with your blood, and they will tell you so much more. When the consequences are finished, the lights will suddenly go on. The man who led you here will be gone. In his place will be an object that you will not be able to see in this place, lest it drive you completely insane. You must close your eyes as soon as the lights come on and feel around blindly on the door, the floor, for the warm, rough texture of the object. If you do not close your eyes, you will see what the ground is made of. Disemboweled human corpses, all missing their eyes, though their mouths still breathe. If you look at this sight and are not driven mad immediately, you will become one of them, joining the satanic earth. If you take the object successfully, though, you will be transported to the exterior of the asylum, where you may open your eyes. The granite stone is object 43 of 538. Though you know how to stop them from coming together, you will not be able to. One moment. Alright. Probably a good time for a drink. already my mouth is getting a little dry. Thank you, wife, for the posture check. Tonight's beverage of choice is a sparkling black raspberry water, and then just regular water, as usual. Speaking of which, I shall have another swig as per the redemption. And then with the sparkling water, and then I'll stretch. The interruptions, in particular, involve the acquisition of a Culver's burger and fries. So I'll be able to have some munchies by the time I'm done. Let's see. I think the goal for tonight is to read up to 55. So I am on 44 right now. Continuing on, the holder of war. In any city, in any country, go to any mental institution or halfway house you can get yourself into. Gaze at the ceiling with a bored expression as you walk up to the front desk, and with a voice that sounds like it is distant and indifferent, and ask to see the holder of war. You'll get a light tap on the shoulder. It is now safe to look down. The attendant will smile politely and begin walking, giving a speech that sounds almost mechanical as he describes the history of the asylum. Do not react to his speech. It is insanely bloody and filled with rather graphic descriptions, but reaction at this point means a one-way trip to hell. After some time of walking, you will come to an elaborately carved door of mahogany and gold. Stop in front of it. Keep your bored expression on your face, possibly adding a blank grin, but do not react as the worker grabs you by the back of their shirt, or he will change his grip, and you will be without your head. The worker will pitch you through the door, and you will hear it slam shut behind you. You are on what might have once been fertile farmland that is now ravaged, blasted battlefield. Soldiers clad in two colors, a horribly bright yet somehow stained white, and a filthy, sickening black, are battling in the most horrid manners possible, fighting with rifles, cannons, swords, bows, all the weapons of war that have existed since the dawn of time. Do not shrink from this battlefield, or the soldiers will notice you, stop their quarrels, and turn upon you with a ravenous hatred, for you are what they have been fighting over, and in their fevered, battle-crazed minds, that means that you are the cause of all their bloodshed. Also, do not try and go back through the door. It has fallen flat in the mud, pushed over by a screaming infantryman wielding a bayoneted rifle. If you let him get the better of you, he will rip you to pieces in seconds, but somehow not manage to kill you. The pain of the experience will undoubtedly drive what is left of your mind mad. Instead, drop your bored expression and put a grim, determined one on your face. Walk in measured, military-style steps straight ahead until you see a 3-story tall structure of blasted concrete that might have once been a command bunker. Do not turn around while doing so. The armor has arrived to the field, and if you stop or change your pace, the tanks will run you down. Once you have entered the bunker, do not give any notice to anyone who makes a request of you or tries to talk to you, no matter how desperate they seem. They each think you are the enemy, and the moment you respond, you will be rewarded with a knife to the face. Instead, go straight up the stairway in front of you to the 2nd level of the bunker. As you mount the stairs, a crash will be heard behind you. That's the fire doorway sealing as a flamethrower detachment attacks. On the 2nd level, there is only one man sitting at a desk, yelling into a phone. The stairs to the 3rd level are a mass of twisted concrete. The man at the desk wears the stars of a general, but does not seem to notice that the phone, as well as all those on the level, are dead. Walk up to him, salute, and in your finest military voice, yell, "Sir!" He will snap around to stare at you. If he thinks you are not worthy of his enemy, he will slowly dismantle you with his hands, and you will join him in his oncoming death. If he thinks you are worthy, he will nod and stare pointedly at you. He does not like slackers, so quickly ask him your question. The only one he will respond to is, "Where do I go, sir?" He will tell you. He will tell you in such detail, such horrifying detail, that you will be tempted to strangle him. Do not try it. He is a far more experienced fighter than you could ever hope to be, and should you break salute, you will meet an extremely messy demise. When he is done, he will say, "At ease," and hand you his pistol. This is your cue to drop salute. Take the sidearm and put it in your holster. If you did not have one before, you do now. An explosion will suddenly decimate the far wall and atomize the general. Through the hole you will see on the horizon the long, thin shape of a missile rising. Shut your eyes tight and open them for nothing. The sounds of horrid battle will fade away until, out of the silence, a single gunshot rings out. Open your eyes. You are standing in the middle of a field of waving wheat. Somehow, you know that this is where the horrific battle you walked through will take place. And you also know, somehow, that you will be in the general's place. The pistol he handed you is Object 44 of 538. Learn how to use it. It has 1 magazine left. If you fire the last shot at the right time, you will avoid the fate of the general. If not, you will join him. The holder of peace. In any city, in any country, go to any mental institution or halfway house you can get yourself into. Storm up to the front desk with a look of rage on your face and demand to see a person who calls themselves the holder of peace immediately. The attendant will recoil and ask you to speak softly. Do not comply with his request. If anything, speak louder, for the anger in your voice is all that keeps the chains locked on the door behind the desk. Keep the anger in your voice. The attendant will duck under his desk and point with a quivering finger down a hall to the right that was not there before. Immediately turn and stomp off down the hall. Do not look over your shoulder, for should the attendant catch you, and he will casually lean back and flip the lock off the door behind him. Walk until you find a door with a beautiful mother-of-pearl inlay design. Throw it open, but take the rage off your face immediately. The ones inside do not appreciate such anger. With a peaceful look across your face, enter. You are in a beautiful, open-air temple with ivy curling up the marble pillars and beautiful mosaics embroidering the walls. The door will lock behind you. Do not try to open it, for it never will, and the monks in brown robes you see wandering about will do anything to get you to stay, even if it means your death. Wander around. No matter what language you speak, the monks speak it too. They're friendly, and all of them would love to chat, but politely decline. Tell them you must speak with the head of the order. Eventually, you will be directed to a man sitting at a chessboard, the temple's abbot. The figure across from him is hooded and wearing armor. Do not attempt to speak to the hooded figure, or your death will be far worse than any vision of hell that man could conjure up. Instead, turn to the man in the now familiar brown robes. The game is one move away from checkmate. Bow and ask nicely, "Why do they gather, Father?" He will open his mouth as if to speak, but the figure across from him will let out a demonic howl of rage and draw a sword. It is beautifully crafted, but seems somehow stained with an unthinkable evil. With a yell, the figure will kick you down and begin systematically slaughtering the other monks. They will try to fight back, but they have only staves, and the sword the man wields is so sharp that it slices through the pillars like a knife through butter. As you are watching this, the abbot will make the final move in the game. The man in armor will swing around and then run at you with the sword upraised. If you were rude or did something wrong, you'll be rent at the atomic level by the blade of the sword, and the pain will never cease. However, if you were polite, the abbot will step in front of you and jam the Black King into the right eye of the warrior. Pay no heed or sympathy as he falls to the ground, screaming, or the abbot will whirl around and do the same to you with the White King. Instead, focus on the abbot, who has now turned around to face you. And one moment. continue reading and then do my meds. He will tell you why they gather. It is a long tale, so fraught with bloodshed and horror, that it may well snap your mind. But if you survive its telling, he will reach under the table with the chessboard and pass you a scabbard richly jeweled and inlaid with gold. Though you have never seen it before, you instinctively know that it matches the sword the warrior was wielding a moment ago. Do not hesitate. Take it, walk over, pick up the madman's sword, wipe it, and sheath it. Buckle it on as well. You will have need of it. Move to leave, but before you do, the good father will halt you and gesture towards the now unhooded face of the warrior. He was handsome, but pay no heed to that. The one thing you should be focusing on is the fact that the Black King is gone. Look up at the abbot, who will nod and say one word: regicide. A flash of light will blind you, and when your sight returns, you will be standing on the curb 2 blocks down from the asylum. Step back onto the sidewalk. You don't want to have an accident. The sword you now wield once belonged to the White King, and is object number 45 of 538. The Black King is running from the scene of his murder, and the White King's sword longs for vengeance. Alright. I shall quickly take my meds. Probably munch on a fry or two. So far, I think, out of all the objects that we've read so far, I think the one that caught my attention the most was probably either the rifle or the blood pen. The rifle would be pretty cool to have. And I don't know, the pen just seems morbidly fascinating to me. $538 entries. I wonder how long it'll be before I actually reach the end. Because low-key, I do want to read the entire series. Gradually. French freeze. Okay. Let's continue. The holder of the mirror. In any city, in any country in the world, go to any mental institution or hospital and ask the attendant for the holder of the mirror. The attendant will look at you strangely, as if you had spoken in a different language. Ask again until they finally understand, and they will lead you deep into the institution without a word. They will lead you to a plain old door, iron door, unlocking it and motioning for you to enter the dark hallway beyond. They will stay behind, never uttering a word, never making eye contact with you. Once the door closes behind you, the hallway will be lit by an ethereal light to reveal the walls of the hallway made of mirrors. The reflections stretch out to infinity on either side of you, but none of them show your reflection. They show the reflection of those who came before you. Each reflection shows another who sought the holder. Each shows how they died. Try not to look at their faces as the beasts devour them. Try not to look at all. Just walk in a straight line. If you look, if you watch, the beasts in the reflections will see you too, and they will come for you. If ever the light begins to dim, if you begin to lose your way in the darkness, close your eyes tight and say firmly without fear, "The ones you seek have gone before." If the lights return, you are lucky, and the creatures that stalk you have let you alone. If it goes dark, do not run. There is no point in fleeing, nor in praying for a swift death. They will catch you, and your end will stretch out to eternity. At the end of the impossibly long corridor, you will find another door, with hot white light shining around its edges. Knock on the door, and you will be allowed entry. Standing in the center of the octagonal room will be a figure, merely a silhouette in the half-light of the chamber. He will pay you no heed until you ask him the question, "What do they reflect?" Any other question, and he will fill your every pore with 1,000 needles, flaying your hide and letting it fly in salt winds as he tortures your mind into insanity, ensuring you live eternally with him in the chamber, merely a shade of what you once were, every moment of existence a mad agony. If you ask him the right question, however, he will answer you, in details that will chill you to your bones and turn your heart to stone. He will tell you what the holders mean, why they exist, and what is to come. After he tells you this, he will step into your vision, revealing who he is. You will see yourself, except instead of eyes, your copy will have shining silver mirrors in its sockets. As you watch, unable to move in horror, your copy will dig one of the mirrors out, blood spilling thick and fast. You will hand yourself the bloodied shard, and then you will find yourself back outside the institution. This bloodied mirror is object 46 of 538. It will reflect what has been done and what is to come. The holder of the bloom in any city, in any country, go to any inn, motel, or any place you can rest. Simply find a bed that is comfortable enough for your tastes. Then sleep, and sleep a while longer. Should you dream, then you are meant for this task. If not, then your success up until now was only luck. And pray, pray that you never awaken. for the objects you have are not yours any longer, and their holders will want them back. In your dream, you will see a garden of a gorgeous design, cool fountains and rare flowers sparkling with the mist. Here you may rest and prepare yourself. You have eons to do so in the shade and the cool. When you are ready, search the garden until you come upon a table where a beautiful woman sits waiting for you. She will gesture for you to sit on her left. She likes you, and she has a task for you to complete for her. Without words or gestures, she will tell you to find her a flower in her garden. You are in her realm. It is best to obey. She will keep the description of the flower a secret. She is testing you after all. If you are destined for your role, or if your luck continues, you will come upon 2 interwoven trees, each producing a different flower. Choose wisely, for if you displease your hostess, it would be more advisable to smash your skull upon the rocks than to face her discontent. If you choose the right flower, then simply head back to the table and hand it to her. She will smile and kiss you on the cheek and say, "I was a seeker once too. Be aware of your fate." As she turns away, you will see her backside has been mauled and mutilated by fire, teeth, and things your mind couldn't hope to comprehend. Follow her into her house, and do not be afraid. She wishes you no harm. She understands your journey. You will stop at the entrance of the house, and she will open the door for you with these final words. "I will let you go freely if you promise me one thing. If ever your journey brings you back here, I ask that you end me. If you break my promise, sleep will never hold safety for you again." With that, she will gently push you outside of the house and back to the realm of the waking. You will find yourself in your room, and in the corner of your eye, you will see something being slipped under your door. It is an envelope containing a flower petal. The petal is object 47 of 538. She is your ally, but will you keep your promise? I would. The holder of sacrifice. In any city, in any country, go to any mental institution or halfway house you can get yourself into. When you reach the front desk, ask to visit someone who calls himself the holder of the sacrifice. A look of bliss should then come over the worker's face, and they will ignore you. Request twice more. You will then be taken by another staff member to the highest floor in the building, then one higher. It will be in an unused, pitch-black section of the building. It will appear as if it is under construction. If you hear the sounds of work being done, demand that you be taken to the overseer. The staff member will realize he has not fooled you, and will take you to the true floor. You will hear an unending groaning reverberate off of the walls from the area furthest from you. It is of utmost importance that you listen to where the sound echoes from. Should the source of the noise change, stand still for 5 seconds and extend your right arm, displaying your palm towards the darkness. If you feel what seems to be thousands of the most wretched bugs in existence crawl across your arm, do not flinch, do not cry out. If you do either, there is nothing that will save you. If the feeling ceases, then proceed further. Upon reaching the end of the hall, something will trigger the lights. The lights shall reveal thousands of corpses formed together as the floor, so as to show the sacrifices one must make to achieve ownership of the object. A door will be to your right. Open it. Once you cross over the threshold of the door, you will arrive in an office. A man will be facing you, sitting in a chair on the opposite end of the room. He will speak on a cell phone dripping with blood, but his voice will be non-existent. However, once you ask him the question, he will pause. Why have I been chosen? He will then hold out the bloodied phone to you. Take it and listen. A raspy voice shall describe the purpose of the objects and why you have been chosen, and you shall shake uncontrollably. This phone is Object 48 of 538. Those who can bear to listen will receive the truth. Quick drink. The holder of the Grail. In any city, in any country, go to any mental institution or halfway house you can get yourself into. When you reach the front desk, ask to visit someone who calls himself the holder of the Grail. As soon as your words reach her ears, the worker will suddenly have a blank stare on her face. If you stare at her, you may suddenly lose all grasp of reality. You should avert your gaze and ask your question again. A blunt object will smash into your head from behind, and all will go black. When you wake up, you'll be in a dark room. A compass stands on a pedestal in the middle, pointing out the 4 directions for all eternity. If you go south, you'll find a well. If you look inside the well, a stream of demons will emerge and eat you. This is far worse than it sounds, as your consciousness does not vanish, and you will have the experience of being digested in 50 different places for countless millennia. If you go east, you will wander the land of Nod for all time. The wind may strip the flesh from your bones, but your skeleton will not cease to walk. If you go west, you will reach the edge and will not resist the urge to throw yourself over. If you go north, you'll find a door with a strange marking on it. If you place your hand on this mark, you'll see an image of him. He will tell you to enter the door. Inside, you'll find a forest. If you go into the forest, you'll find a lake. Quickly, if you turn away, you'll escape from sudden death, for the lake is but a mirage, masking a creature far more horrible than anything from your worst nightmare. If you keep going and suddenly turn left, you'll find a pool of blood. There's a man in the pool of blood, and he asks for your soul. If you give him your soul, he'll get up. This man has the face of a devil, but his voice is that of an angel. When he smiles at you, do not turn away. If you do not turn away, your soul will be lost forever. When the man walks up to you, he'll say, "Thank you," and will give you a grail filled with blood. And suddenly, in a single second, you'll wind up in the kitchen of whatever place you call home. Be thankful. If you had done something wrong, the man would still be holding your soul, and the pain of such a separation is an experience you do not wish to go through. But bear in mind, you will survive. You will live on in screaming agony till someone deigns to end your suffering. Put the cup in the freezer. It should be kept cold and never spill a drop, lest it ignite once more the fires of hell on the earth. This grail is object 49 of 538. If you drink his blood, you'll either go mad or become the Antichrist. Only your fate can decide. The holder of the afterlife. This journey is not for the faint of heart, nor the wicked. I control the lives of all men, and those that are inhuman. If you still wish to seek me, be advised you cannot make this journey more than once. You will go to any morgue in any city, state, or country. Ask any mortician there to see the most current customer. Should a look of disgust and disbelief come over him, thank him for his time, take a bow, turn around, and walk. Do not run. Walk calmly out of there. I know your time as I know everyone's, and it has not come yet. Should a look of understanding come over him, he will leave the room and return with a large French chef's knife, 2 surgical needles with thread, and a gold bar. He will also roll in a fresh body and a medical book. Put down the needle on the roller, stab the knife over the body's head, and stand facing the top of the body with the bar in your hand. Do whatever with the book, only a book. You must wait until the mortician leaves the room, which will be quite a long while. Before he leaves, he will state the scientific name of a location in the body and will take his leave. Stand until the mortician leaves the room, and do nothing until he does. When he leaves, look in the book for the name of that place in the body, and use the knife to split that part of the body open. Place the gold bar in that part and thread it up. Only one of the needles will completely remove the scar, so choose wisely. Do all this while holding a stoic expression on your face. After you have completed your task, the room will go dark, and you must yell in a clear voice, "See? I have prepared a gift for you. Take what is yours." I will then appear in all my unearthly glory and judge. If you had a reaction from any time the mortician left the room up until the lights went dark, or the scar remains, your soul will be mine to take as well as the gift, and you will both be taken to my lair. If your face was stoic throughout, and if the scar healed, I will unwrap my present with my great scythe, searching for the bar. Remain with a lack of expression on your face, or I will decapitate you. Not so bad an end as to others in this journey. When I find it, I will smile, and when I smile, a bright light will flash, and the room will reappear shockingly different. I describe to prepare you. The room will be constructed out of dead children and toddlers, their eyes gone and blood ebbing out of their mouths. They will be cemented together with a black substance slowly enveloping them. They will writhe and cry for their mommy and daddy. Blood will replace their tears. You cannot close your eyes or show emotion, lest I judge you to be unworthy, and will take you to Tartarus. There will be one baby in front of you, dead, normal, with a scalpel in its head. Perhaps you will recognize it. After half a minute of this horror, if you remain sane, it will be time for the third test. A dark, twisted version of this world shall appear, inhabited by the damned. Where we appear, there will be a strange, smooth stone field, with one 3-foot pillar in the center. I shall reappear, and throw you a wicked, dark knife carved with symbols. You must stab the end of your forefinger with it. You will feel unbearable pain in your finger, but be pleased that I have lessened the pain for you. Otherwise, you would have had pain throughout your body. You must bear the pain, however, and though the blood will not clot the finger, you will not run out of blood, for you are in my realm. After which, you must draw me a pentagram, 6 feet circumference, with the tip of the star pointing me. Make sure it is good. I am a ruthless judge. You are allowed to plan and measure. When you are done, I shall look upon it. One of 2 things will happen. 1, I turn and close my eyes in disgust. If this happens, the pentagram will catch ablaze. As your blood on the ground burns, so shall the remaining blood in your body. Your veins shall burn for all eternity, in the center of the pentagram, the pain never leaving. 2, I like your art, and smile. I will turn to you and smile. My eyes will blacken, dark, shadowy tendrils will come from my mouth and form a hellish grin. You will realize that the same is happening to you, and that I have just infected you with my disease. When the blackening will cease to flow from your body, it will have turned night. Stare only at the pentagram. A demonic audience is watching you, and they tend to rip people to shreds if they look at them, so keep your gaze fixed upon the pentagram. They will dance around you in a devilish flurry, taunting you, mocking you, spitting on you, and the like. If you remain stoic, then they will leave. After they have all left, the blackening will return and ignite a random number of candles around the pentagram. Count and remember this number. It will serve you well at the end. The light will return, and you will awaken outside of the morgue around midday. The cut on your finger will have healed, and it will be the exact number of candles that will dictate how many days have gone by. You will notice a dark ooze on the ground in front of your face and sticking in your clothes. The blackening has followed you. You now hold the power to summon the blackening within you at will, the same you saw in my face during the third test. The ones who gaze at your face when it appears will slowly be consumed by the blackening, the disease. Every time you summon the blackening, you will feel the pain you felt on your finger over your whole body increased tenfold. You will not pass out, but the pain will be unbearable. The disease is Object 50 of 538. With it, you can blacken anyone, even the immortal. Can't take Spooky Soul be AFK with your stream while I'm away. No worries. Yeah, this series is not really for those with like shaky nerves or a weak stomach. The holder of illusion. In any city, in any country, go to any mental institution or halfway house you can get yourself into. When you reach the front desk, ask the worker if the holder of illusion is housed there. If the worker nods, you are doomed. The holder has anticipated your arrival, and you will feel your body slowly begin to fade out of existence. It is not a pleasant experience. If the worker answers no, be thankful. She will hand you a sheet of paper with directions on getting to the proper asylum and ask you to leave. Do so, turn left, and throw away the paper. You don't want to alert this holder to your coming before it is necessary. Walk 4 blocks down the road in the direction you're heading, then turn right and walk 1, then left and walk 2, then stop, scratch your chin, and turn around. The street has changed. All the color has drained from the world in front of you. A huge crater gapes from the center of the street. Not a pane of glass remains intact, and all the people you might have passed on that block lie horribly dead. Take a step back. There should be a red paint pen on the ground beside you. Grab it and stuff it into your pocket. As you watch, the discoloration effect slowly spreads, revealing what looks like the aftermath of a military attack on a black and white world. Smashed buildings, blasted streets, and dead people everywhere. Quickly cover your eyes with your hands and shout, "I deny the truth! Let the path remain!" If the holder deems you unworthy, you will suffer the same fate as the block, and the effect you saw will continue to spread, wiping the illusion clean from our world. But if you pass, a slight tingle will shoot through your legs, just barely powerful enough to be felt. Open your eyes. The effect is still spreading, but you stand fully as you were in the middle of its ruin. Walk straight down the block until you come to a warehouse. The main doors, though bent and dinged, still stand strong. Next to the doors is a building nameplate, like the ones you see on firehouses and the like, but completely blank. Take out the paint pen and write on the plate, as small as you can while still writing legibly, "Who survived to tell of it?" The ink will pool into a dot, and then begin to drip, much like blood, down the plate. It will describe the survivor, telling his tale of horror and sadness, and the ends to which he fell in an attempt to get the tale out, to try to ensure that it would not happen again. Slowly, you get the horrible feeling that the holder himself was the survivor spoken of. He will assure you that this is not true, however, and end the tale with, "His fate bears not for the telling, but his legacy lives on." The paint pen will melt in your hand, and the side door to the warehouse will crash open. Run inside, do not walk, and enter the manager's office. It will be completely dark, but dare you not light it up in any way, lest you awaken the guardian from his dreams. Instead, grope around on the desk until you feel an object, round and smooth, in your hands. The office will flash out of sight, and you will get a brief glimpse of the massacred street in full color, before everything goes black. You will wake up 2 days later, sitting at the kitchen table in your home. A newspaper nearby screams of a terrorist attack. Sit up, and you'll realize that you still hold the object. Set it on the table. The object you see before you is a steel ball about the size of a walnut, and is object 51 out of 538. The survivor now knows of you, and you of him. This jealous secret will bind for all time. The holder of disgust. In any city, in any country, go to any mental institution or halfway house you can get yourself into. When you reach the front desk, ask to visit someone who calls himself the holder of disgust. The worker's face will turn a bit green, and he will excuse himself, and then walk to the nearest toilet. A female warden will appear beside you and ask you to follow her. Obey her for now. She will lead you to a simple door with a number on it. You might remember it from somewhere else, almost as if you've been here a long time ago. I will not tell you what the number on the door will be, but if it is not the right one, your fate will be one of eternal pain and nausea. Should the number be the right one, you will find yourself in a room that looks much like a person's stomach. You will see food being digested, wandering into the lower tracts of the digestive cycle. It will look much more horrible than you've ever imagined. Simply wait until you see a door falling into the room, then enter it. If you cannot enter it, then you will slowly be digested, just like everything else in here. Should you have managed to enter the door, you will find yourself in a room with pure white walls. Those are one of the few things that do not drive this holder mad. You are not one of these things, however, so be prepared to run as fast as you can if necessary. Approach the girl in the middle of the room and ask her, "What do you consider pure?" She will stare at you and open her mouth, trying to speak, but she will be unable to, and instead vomit onto the floor. Close your eyes for as long as you hear her emptying her stomach. When you no longer hear anything, open your eyes again and walk to where the girl was. Take the pills at your feet. These pills are Object 52 of 538. Eating one will cause you to vanish as the girl did. So one moment. I'm quickly gonna, before I read this next one, Alright, I think it should be fine. You'll understand why I was worried when I start reading. The holder of porn. In any city, in any country, go to any adult sex shop you can find. Walk up to the clerk and ask in an erotic tone to see one who calls themselves the holder of porn. If the clerk should smile at you, run for the door as fast as you can. If you do not make it, you will be dragged to one of the establishment's private rooms, where patrons often come to view pornography. You are not to be so lucky. The TV in the room will begin showing you every depraved sexual act ever committed by man. Pray you go mad swiftly. Images of rope and sexual torture will begin to seem pleasant as the images you are shown become more depraved and grotesque. When the scenes before you finally end, and if you are unfortunate enough to retain your sanity, you will never be able to trust another human being again, as their true depraved nature has been revealed to you. However, if the clerk begins to dim the light, you have only until they are completely shut off to remove any articles of clothing that you happen to be wearing. You must do so without any hesitation or thought, towards any insecurities you may harbor. Now follow the clerk to the door at the far side of the establishment. Upon entering this next room, you will be greeted by many men and women of varying races, ages, and body types. Oddly, you will find all of these people attractive, completely regardless of previous sexual persuasion. These are the seekers who came before you. You must not look at any of them for more than a few moments. To do so will cause you to become overtaken with lust, and you will be trapped with them for an eternity in an orgy of human flesh. Tantalizing as that may seem to the more depraved minds, you must ignore these urges. Instead, look forward and follow the clerk, ignoring any taunts or pleas you may hear from the observers. Eventually you will reach a door, and the clerk will take his leave. When his footsteps are completely out of earshot, close your eyes and enter the door. When your feet hit solid ground, you may let go of the door and open your eyes once again. The first thing you will notice about this room is the decor. Typical 70s, with the heart-shaped bed in the middle being the apparent centerpiece of the room. You are free to look around as long as you wish, but do not sit or lay down on the bed. To do so is to invite your own death. After what may be a few minutes or hours, you will feel sharp pain in your thigh, swiftly followed by the oozing of blood from the fresh wound. Do not react, and do not look down. Instead, wait for a female voice to speak from the center of the room. The woman now lying on the bed seems to be middle-aged, and though she is past her prime, she is undeniably beautiful. The robe that barely covers her body reveals soft, smooth skin and curves that would make even much younger women jealous. She will sit up after a few moments, offering you a robe as she does so. Do not respond to this. Simply ask the question, do they feel lust? As she begins her long, detailed description of her incarceration, she will turn her back to you, removing her robe. It is then, while she is still speaking, that you will see the scars riddling her back. It is clear to you that these were caused by hard lashes from a whip. They are very closely linked to the story she is telling you. As she falls silent, she will hand her robe to you, smiling warily. Suddenly, you will find yourself outside the front of the shop, still completely nude and clutching the robe. There are no people around, but you best put it on, as you remark inwardly at how snugly the robe fits, almost as if it were actually tailored for you. You notice the wound on your leg begin to heal, and then finally scar over. The robe is item 53 of 538. Use it wisely. I knew you'd get a kick out of that one, baby. The holder of the file. In any city, in any country, go to any mental institution or halfway house you can get yourself into. When you reach the front desk, ask to visit someone who calls himself the holder of the file. Should a look of pain and worry come over the face of the worker, you'll be taken deep within the facility. Beyond a myriad of twists and turns, far more than there should be in a building of this size, you'll be taken to an old-style jail cell. Within will be darkness, and one single noise, the rasp of a file against metal. Should at any time the rasping stop, quickly turn and run. Run as far and as fast as you possibly can, and don't worry about taking the wrong path. Getting lost in the depths of this facility will be the least of your worries. Should the rasping continue unabated, however, walk up to the bars and stick a hand into the darkness. You will feel an object placed into your hand. If it feels warm, drop it and fall to your knees in prayer. Pray you were fast enough, so that when you look up, you will still be outside the cell. If you were too slow, an eternity of filing will never get you past those bars again. Should the item feel cold, however, voice one question aloud into the cell and pull back your hand. The only question to receive an answer will be, which side are they on? You will feel the file in your hand begin to move. As it shreds your skin and wears through your bones, you must concentrate not on the pain, but on your question. The file will rasp away your flesh and bone until nothing left of your hand remains. Should you make it through the ordeal without giving in to the pain, you will find the answer to your question in your mind. Your hand will be whole, and once more you will be outside the facility, a cold and rusty file clutched in your hand. Many go mad with this knowledge. Some use the file to repeat the process in an attempt to remove the words from their heads. If you manage to endure, you'll find yourself among those at the reunion. That file is Object 54 of 538. It will smooth your way to the reunion, but cannot help you from there beyond. And the last one for tonight, the Holder of Cruelty. In a location where dark omens gather and where death has cursed, call to the starless sky for counsel with the Holder of Cruelty. Before the tainted earth which you stand will rise a black, ancient pedestal with a deep bowl carved into the crumbling skull mounted atop. At this point, there is no return. The eyes of the decaying skull will glow with the color of blood, and in your head, a wicked yet hoarse voice will drone, Mors ultima linea rerum est. Blackening until the night defeated, in that bowl must you gather the beating hearts of the ones you hold dearest to you. Should the hearts cease to beat, you will blacken. Should you fail the request, you will blacken. Should suicide become the final escape, you will blacken. With the fresh, organic beating hearts gathered in the dark bowl, the blackening will cease. As the hearts liquefy, a deep, impenetrable black forms. The voices of those offered will speak to you in an unfamiliar tongue. Though incomprehensible, do not fall prey to the command of the deceiving ones. Instead, gather the corpses of 5 of your most hated enemies and bring them to the pedestal. Down their throats must the tainted fluid pour. Not a drop must reach the soil of earth. The 5 corpses will reanimate, rising as wicked puppets hailing to their cursed master, shape-shifting to twisted, blackened beings. To them you must feed 5 young, living children. Remorse of the slightest will not be tolerated in their eyes. As the fresh blood of the children is drunk from their coursing veins, you must watch through the agony, screams, tears, and fear as they are devoured nearly whole. They will endure the pain of a century of torture as they are consumed. When the ordeal has ended, they will surround you. They demand only one more relic, your own heart. Be hasteful. They do not feel pain as mortals do. As the unholy offering passes hands, it too will be consumed. The meal finished, the figures will merge and dissipate into a brilliant black aura, eclipsing the dark sky. The silent whispers that consume your mind form Object 55 of 538. When all has blackened, they will guide you to him. And that is the holders for tonight. Still got so much more to go. Whoopee! Whew. My mouth is dry. But yeah, like I said before, I intend to read more in the future. And I will intend to keep going until the series has been totally covered. Because, to my memory at least, nobody else has narrated the entire series in one go. Like, not even in like a YouTube playlist or anything. Like, the list is always incomplete. Like, they never finish. It's either they never finish, or they skip through a lot of the parts. I don't like that. So, I want to be able to do it myself, if nobody else will. Well, I think now it's time we start to wrap things up and we send ourselves, we launch ourselves over to a friend in a raid. Raid message for subs is so, along with non-subs is so. Let's see who is online right now. As far as my streams are concerned, I'm planning to stream on Monday, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but it's probably gonna be something a little more, a little more, lighthearted, I guess, is the best way to say it. I've actually been tempted to play more Dwarf Fortress. I think, like, I'm starting to just kind of get that itch. So maybe not. Maybe more dwarfs. Otherwise I might play in off hours, off stream. Well, looking at friendos to raid, I think I know the perfect person. We are going to raid Hanachu. She is the cutest, little, wholesomest, wonderful, glorious, cutest, sweetest, bubbliest little jellyfish I ever done knew. She's playing Hades right now. Okay, Hana-chu! With 3 U's. Woo woo, Hana-chu! She is so cute, and I love her. We will spread our froggy love to jelly. Jelly, jelly, good jelly. Streaming on Monday. Once again, art streams are kind of out of the question until further notice. Hopefully I can get that resolved with the 0 money that I have right now. In one way or another. But otherwise, I really have nothing else. Here we're going. I'm streaming Monday. I'll see you Lily Pals there. Thank you for coming by. You know, Or, you know, at least stopping and saying hi if horror is not your thing. No worries, I still love you. My Lily pals, big hug. I can't wait to eat this Culver's too. So until Monday, Lily pals, oh yeah, Swimmy!